Hello there. You know things are really out of control when the signs are that Germany is moving to the right of politics. It looks like Germany is following the lead of EU member states like Italy, France, the Netherlands and Ireland in getting more, concerned over the levels of inward migration. Because Germany's largest circulation tabloid and Europe's best-selling one, Bild, has published a highly controversial 50-point manifesto on the 29th of October, telling newcomers to the country how to behave. Is Germany about to reshape European politics? And this manifesto will have a significant impact because of the paper's massive print and internet circulation. And this was the publication that received Angela Merkel's over 1 million newcomers in 2015 with joyful abandon. The welcome signs were out, and woe betide any bigot who disagreed. Just as in the UK with Tony Blair's drive to rub the noses of the right in diversity. But now Bild says that Germany has a problem and feels the need to issue a set of house rules for everyone living in the country. Here's some of Google's translation of the article. Our world is in chaos and we are in the middle of it. How things have changed within a decade. And it goes on to say that in the few short weeks since the terrible events in Israel on the 7th of October, we are experiencing a new dimension of hatred against our values, our democracy, and against Germany. And in an obvious criticism of a certain demographic, it goes on to say, the recent days reveal what has been simmering and boiling in our society for a long time. In our country there are many people who oppose our way of life. People who celebrate the murder of innocent civilians. Those who teach their children to hate others because they are infidels. Those who want to forbid women from wearing skirts or trousers. Those who despise the basic law and instead listen to radical preachers. They exploit tolerance because they want a different society. We must not accept this. This cannot continue. That will obviously make Bild far right in the eyes of the open borders Marxist types, won't it? And Bild also says, Germany must now say no to anti-Semitism, to misanthropy, and to all those who say no to us. Ooh, the lefties will hate that last bit. The majority laying down the law. That's not how it's supposed to be. Only those of the Marxist elite knows what's best for us. So I'm wondering if we'll see a lot of those from the right of politics, such as those from the Alternative for Germany or AfD, becoming MEPs next June when the EU parliamentary elections take place, with the next German federal elections to come in the following year, 2025. And Bild calls its manifesto a kind of house rules, a guiding idea for what keeps our free society together. The text is addressed to all people living in Germany. Now, the Mail has written a report on this, saying that since the beginning of 2015, 3 million asylum seekers and illegal arrivals have come with far-reaching economic consequences. This week, as Germany flirts with recession, the Federal Employment Agency announced that 6 out of 10 welfare recipients are migrants who are fit and able to work. Many of them between the ages of 16 and 25. And the New Germans, as they are referred to, are being blamed for an increase in crime and the creation of no-go zones. There are fears that Germany has been split into 2 parallel societies. The first, an ordered world where citizens work and pay their taxes. The second, one where few hold down a regular job, often relying on benefits out of choice. And the picture it paints is very grim indeed. It makes it sound as if Germany is collapsing under the weight of cultural diversity. And it quotes the head of Germany's police union saying that a recent crackdown on illegals will try to deport 50,000 people, but it will take 80 years to achieve it. And the manifesto itself sounds just what life was like in Europe some 20 to 50 years ago, which to a lefty would of course be far right. We expect everyone who can and is allowed to seek employment and provide for themselves. Social services help people in financial need who can't work, not people who don't want to work, it says. And it champions women's rights, a clear signal to a certain demographic to update itself and behave. Further, this has been well received by the German population, says the Mail. Whatever the truth, the Bild manifesto has said what has long been left unsaid. Many ordinary Germans who feel their past generosity has been hurled back in their faces think it is an important message to send out in these very uncertain times. But to the lefty unicorn-seeking Marxists, this will of course be pure hate speech. However, I doubt they'll come out and say so, because the worm is turning. The left had their go at reshaping Western society to their vision, a vision that has generated division and allowed hate to fester and gather, a vision they had hoped to force on us with their cancel culture games. Well, in Germany, that might be about to revert back to common sense normality. And the message is clear from Bild. Point 3 of their 50-point manifesto says, anyone who considers our constitution and our legal system as a collection of non-binding recommendations should leave Germany as soon as possible. And that everyone who wants to live in Germany permanently must learn German. It also considers it necessary to remind us in point 12 that many Germans eat pork. Here's a couple more. Knives belong in our kitchens, not in our pockets. And we pay taxes because we know they are the foundations of the state. And this one will have a certain demographic boiling up inside. Those who cannot tolerate the caricature of politicians, celebrities, gods or prophets are not in the right place in Germany. And it ends with point 50. We love life, not death. Now I wonder who that's aimed at. That it takes a newspaper to lay all this out shows just how far we've allowed things to go unchecked. In fact, how far we've allowed ourselves to be bullied. Now I bet a lot of people in Brexit UK might rather like our version of this, to be set out by the Sun maybe. But a few of the rules would need a bit of a rewrite. For example, many in the UK might, given the mounting evidence of a two-tier policing system, raise an eyebrow at their point 11, where it says, we see the police as friend and helper, not as a repressive force or an enemy. And there is a hard core of those in the UK who would not like to see point 17 here in the UK, one I mentioned earlier. We don't see social services as employers, but as institutions that help people in financial need, people who can't work, not people who don't want to work. Ooh, that would not be a vote winner amongst some here. But then there's point 18. We respect the judiciary because it judges without prejudice. In the UK, they always seem to favour the newcomer's story, don't they? I've left a link to the translated version of those rules in the descriptions box below for you to ponder over. And when thinking about the 80 years it would take to deport 50,000 people, it got me thinking about the latest UK plan to reduce the sentences of foreign offenders by 18 months so they can be deported before their sentence expires. And a lot of people are concerned that they'll be let out of prison early and never be deported, as we once again make fat cats out of the woke or worse lawyers. I say ensure deportation is part of the sentence and commence the deportation process on day one of their sentence. That way you can get through all the endless lawfare shenanigans before we get to the point of actually putting them on a flight. And once that's done, when the 18 months early point is reached, off they go. And will someone please rectify this right to family life ECHR clause that some use as a loophole to stay? The family is quite free to go with them if they want to.